course, I thank God.
Yeah.
But just that, like, okay, done. Now moving on to the next thing.
Now give me a job.
Now, yeah, asking for another thing, right?
Yeah.
Welcome to another episode of Life Couch Potato Podcast. I'm Theo, and
Well, I'm Win again. Yeah.
I think by now you guys know that we both are Christians, and we both pretty involved in our church community and in our faith, and we want to talk about how it all started.
Yeah. Like how we experience God specifically.
yeah.
Yeah. So, all right. Let's first start with how do we first experience God? How do we first get introduced or know about God?
Okay.
Yeah. Why don't I go first? Okay.
Okay.
I think mine is because I think yours is more interesting, right? I think mine is pretty straightforward. I think I was born and raised a Christian. My family was Christian. My parents brought us along to church, and then we just went through Sunday school, right? And then you get exposed to your typical stories of the Bible, the famous ones like Noah's Ark, right? Adam and Eve, those kind of things. So that's my first introduction to God. And at that point, I think my idea of God is, I think what most kids raised in a Christian setting would be, which is just like, oh yeah, there's a God that does these wonderful things, does these miraculous things, and and you're just curious about it. But that's as much as you go at that age. Yeah. How about you? I think yours is pretty interesting.
Yeah. Same with you. I grew up in a Christian family, and my dad, in particular, is pretty active in church. He's involved in a lot of ministries. He's actually preaching in like small churches as well around the country.
Is he a pastor?
He is not like have a title of a pastor, but
Okay.
he's the ministers. I guess.
Okay, got it.
People call him evangelist,
Evangelist,
something like that.
Yeah.
But yeah, and that's the family I grew up in. When I was still younger, one of the punishment that my dad gave me is actually to read the Bible. I remember this. I was probably like second grade of elementary school.
Yeah.
I fought with my little brother, and I forgot what that was. But after that, my dad called me and my brother.
Mm-hmm.
He gave us his Bible. Obviously, he got many Bibles, right?
Yeah.
And got one for me and one for my brother.
Yeah.
Gave that to me and read this passage. I think it's from Proverbs or something. Read a couple of chapters, I think.
Yeah.
And then after that, he called me and asked me, "What did you read? What did you learn?"
Right.
So that was sort of my first encounter about Bible. And although I'm pretty sure that I don't know if that's a good parenting or not, it works for me. It made me realize that I'm not supposed to do that.
Right.
Although like I think a lot of studies right now you don't associate God with like punishment, negative things, but for me it works.
It worked.
So I'm glad that my dad did that.
Yeah.
That was my first introduction.
Yeah. Well, not just punishments though, right? I mean, in what other ways did he make you read the Bible?
I mean, yeah. The good thing is that punishment is, when I say punishment, he was not like yelling at me, "Hey, you're a naughty kid, slap me with the Bible." That's not what happened. It's just like, "Hey, you know that you did things wrong, and you're not supposed to do that. Just read this for your growth." Basically, it's something like for the betterment of yourself.
Right.
But it was triggered by my mistakes.
Right.
Because I think that's the easier way that
Yeah.
my dad gave me. But also, he taught me like a lot of things, like thankful to God when you about to eat, or go to church with him. I think that was the memory that I have like early on.
Right.
But that punishment is quite unique.
Right.
Like
Yeah.
that's engraved in my brain.
Yeah.
But the actual first encounter, my personal encounter with God, is when I was fourth grade, I think, elementary school. I had this set of nightmares for months.
So you would just have these nightmares every day?
Every night.
Every night?
Every
the same one,
night.
or
like not exactly the
or
same
there are like
ones.
full seasons of episodes of nightmares?
Something like that, yeah.
Okay.
It's like continuous.
Okay. Yeah.
Like series.
Yeah.
Or some sort.
Yeah.
It was, well, I was still quite young. I was
Yeah.
still just a kid over there, and I was scared. I
Yeah.
couldn't sleep. I talked to my parents, talked to my dad, and he taught me that, hey, read the Bible when you wake up in the middle of the night or in the morning. So at that point, I started to, when I got that nightmare, I woke up 4 a.m. in the morning. Like, I don't know why, but it's exactly at 4 a.m.
Always
Every
4
single day.
a.m.
Every single
From
day.
the nightmare.
From the nightmare.
Okay.
So I read the Bible from, I think at that point my dad suggested that you start with the New Testament. And yeah, Bible have Old Testament and New Testament. I started on the New Testament because I guess that's easier for kids to understand. So I started to read the Bible and praying. And
Right. How long would you read the Bible for at 4 a.m. when you wake up from these?
I remember I still did it until junior high.
Okay.
So it's probably like 3 or 4 year
Okay. Wow.
period.
So faithfully reading the Bible at 4 a.m.
4 a.m. because I woke up at 4
4
a.m. because of the nightmare stopped after a couple of months, but I still woke up. I don't know if that's because of the biological clock.
Yeah.
Or that's because of, I don't know, God actually woke me up at 4 a.m. in the morning. But it happened until the second year of junior high. It's like 10th grade, 8th grade. The 8th grade, my school is kind of weird. I started 1 p.m. and finished at 7, so it's messing up with the whole schedule.
Okay.
But yeah, I still reading the Bible ever since that. But at that fourth grade experience changed my whole life.
Right.
That's like, I would say that's my personal encounter with God.
Right. Well, that's interesting because usually when kids at 4th grade level get nightmares, they tell their parents. And then you would expect the parents to just like cuddle them and then like, oh, you can sleep with us in this room. All right, don't get worried about the nightmare. But then you just didn't bother your parents anymore. You just get up. You're like, all right, another day with nightmare, another day reading the Bible.
I mean, now that you mention it, that's interesting. Yeah, but that was not in my mind at that time. It's just like, what happened now? I need to seek peace, and my source of peace at that time, that's the Bible.
Wow. For a 4th grader, that's amazing.
Yeah, that's without me actually thinking about it, right?
Yeah.
That's how amazing that was.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, that's why God says like something about, seek His word and His and Him like as though you're small children.
Right.
Right, because you're just so pure at that point, right?
I guess.
Yeah. Okay, so let's move on to how did you experience God in any like specific life event, right? Maybe when God gave you a challenge, God made you go through something difficult, or like when God blessed you, right? When God blessed you or finally answered your prayers, how is that experience like?
I think a lot of times, because of my experience, I guess, when I was still a kid, uh, from that point on, I know about God. I trusted God, and I had that personal encounter. So for me, when things doing well, I always said, "Thank you, God." I always give thanks to God. Like I have this great gratitude, or at least I always say that. But when we talk about when we preparing about this topic of this podcast, I realize that a lot of times, for me, it's just like habit.
Yeah.
Things that just come out of your mouth like instantly without you thinking about it. So sometimes it's just like things that it's
Like
not really,
you say,
don't
oh,
really
thank you,
feel it.
Lord.
Yeah.
But then you didn't internalize it. You didn't really feel that gratuity.
Exactly. I took an online class
Yeah.
earlier this year, and I just
Yeah.
graduated like a couple weeks ago.
Uh-huh.
I told you about this story,
Yeah.
like how I was sometimes stressful. I still
Yeah.
doing my 9 to 5 job, and on top of that, doing this
Yeah.
class. It's pretty crazy times this year for me. And after I graduated, after I finished that, of course I thank God.
Yeah.
But just that, like, okay, done. Now moving on to the next thing.
Now give me a job.
Now, yeah, asking for another thing, right?
Yeah.
Give me a job that I want.
Yeah.
I want other stuff.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's just now that I'm thinking about it, preparing for this podcast, I feel like I said it, I prayed about it, but
Yeah.
my heart, I don't think it was that grateful for finishing that
Right.
class. It's kind of sad, but now that I realize that, I guess
Yeah.
I can always go back and try to do
Right.
better next time.
Yeah.
How about yours? Do you have any experience
Yeah.
in God like that?
Yeah, I know we've covered like, some of our life journeys. Maybe one that, I guess quite early on in my journey with God, or like quite early on in my life, where I really experienced Him is when I was applying for college, right? So as you mentioned before, like, we're both from Indonesia, right? And then I grew up in Singapore, and then I was applying for college to the U.S. And that process really allowed me to experience God and really tested my faith in God. So I was basically in my 11th, 12th grade. So that's like around when you start thinking about where you want to go for college, right?
Yeah.
And I was sort of in this situation where I'm forced to look for a college outside of Singapore, because, well, if not, I would have to do military service, and then it would just complicate my citizenship, my Indonesian citizenship, and all that. So basically, bottom line is, okay, I have to apply to a college abroad, right? So a lot of my friends back then around me, they were all just taking the national exam, right? Everyone takes that in high school. I have to take that too. But that's all they need to do because most of them are like staying local, right?
In Singapore.
In Singapore. So
I
they
see.
just take the national exam and then they use those results and just figure
Apply.
out what college you want to go to next. For me, it's like, okay, and some people may know, like, there's a lot of prep, right? You gotta take like SATs, you gotta like write the essays. Sometimes these colleges ask you to write essays. Sometimes the prompts are weird. And then you have to like fill out the application itself, and that's just for like one school, and then
Right.
you want to like apply to a few, and especially in my case, because I sort of am left with no choice but to go abroad, I really have to get to at least one college. So I really try to apply to quite a number of them, so a few in the US, a few in the UK. And so because of that, like, it was just a lot going on and trying to get these apps done. So much so that, of course, one is the struggle itself of trying to balance all of that with what's going on at school and having to take the final national exams, the regular one, and just having to juggle that. It's a tough and stressful time. But then what made it worse is that these college apps, they take up so much time that I just don't have that much time to study for my national exam. And I was just at a point where, wow, I'm doing all of this college apps, investing so much time in them, that I don't really have much time to study for my regular national exam. And if I do poorly on them, like it's just not all, it's all just not gonna work, like because you need the national exams as well to apply for these colleges, right?
Oh, okay.
So it's sort of like, wow, I have so much things going on, I don't know which one to focus on. And the process is just to ask God, right? What do you want me to do, right? Is this, I know I have to get into a college abroad, but how do I allocate the time? Like I literally have no time to study or prepare properly for my national exams. And I just felt like God telling me, well, just focus on the college apps and don't worry about the national exam.
Oh, really?